Cheers to episode 147.
147.
Got some whiskey with Diet Pepsi.
Diet Pepsi. You're a DP guy, not a DC guy.
And there's just some leftovers. I like either.
I drink way
I
too
have
much
water
yesterday,
with
so I have
liquid
water
IV.
too.
Liquid IV with, and then water for Cody. Cody, what was your glass? I know it was Lions, but was that number 17?
Yeah. DPJ, baby. No, I'm just
Is
kidding.
that what his number is?
I think it is 17,
I
but no, I
You
got
caught
this.
a pass on Sunday. I got instantly sick in
2017.
my stomach.
No.
It was a big
No, I
thing
have
down
water
too. I
as
think
well.
he got it for the first time. I was like, no way.
He's sticking
Second pick of
good.
the year.
All right. Tonight is Wednesday, December 27th, 2023. Only a few more. Oh, last 2023 episode. That's important.
The last one.
6:38 p.m. Eastern time. Don't have to do Central time because Alex isn't on the show tonight. But I did look this up. It's 7:38 p.m. in St. Lucia where he's at. Now he's ahead of us somewhere in the middle of the ocean.
Bougie.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're
So he already knows
listening,
what we're talking about right now. He already heard it.
Yes, he does. Podcast is already over for
yes.
him.
Yeah, he's halfway through actually. There's also, I was thinking when I was putting the show doc together, it could be a fun time for us to make fun of Alex because there's no chance he goes back and listens to this. There's just no way. So
He has
you can
a
just
flight
say
home.
he might. I still put it at 0% chance. So if you're listening, you may not exactly recognize the voice. If you're watching, you should recognize him. Cody with a K, multi-time guest, has joined us for this evening. Thank you, Cody, for joining us.
Yes, sir. What,
Your last
I think this is like
appearance-
third or fourth time. This is my third time, I think. Maybe.
I know
I
your
think
last one.
This is my fourth time because
was
I
the
have like 3.5.
Chiefs trip.
Minnesota, Chiefs, Game of
Yeah.
Thrones. Now,
Yeah. I call it a full 4. You manned the board in Minnesota off the
yeah,
side.
I was the guy on the computer in the background.
Last time you gave us a great shareable clip about the Lions with your RAR, so no pressure
Yes.
to deliver this time. No pressure.
Cam sends it to me once in a while still.
Oh, it's so good. We are going to get into weekly recaps, what we do over our Christmas breaks, and then this weird time leading into the new year. We'll get into the Lions winning the North, huge game, and a little bit of a preview I'd like to do for the Dallas game, since that is such a big game on the schedule and it's at a primetime Saturday night spot. We can also talk about NFL Week 16 reactions too, what's happening in the NFL. And then we will dive into a little Rose Bowl preview, since that is in 5 days. Maybe some other college football talk. We could probably give our playoff predictions too, since we won't have a show before those games play. And then we'll wrap things up with New Year's resolutions. One sports-themed resolution that you have and one personal resolution that you have. And then potentially we had one Twitter question that I've seen about the Pistons. We can talk about them for a little bit, but they are not the focus of the show. The football is the focus of the show, and Christmas and New Year's. So with all that being said, normally Alex leads us off. Cody, you are Alex tonight. So you are going to lead us off with any notable things that's happened in your life over the past week.
Oh, well, I had a great Christmas. Been off of work now for almost a week, and I don't go back until the 2nd.
Hell
And
yeah.
then
Nice.
And then I leave the 4th to go to Houston for another week. So
Hell yeah.
I had a lot of
Work for 2
PTO.
days and then straight on to vacation.
Yeah.
Love
so
that.
I've
Love
I've
that.
been kind of on a elongated vacation. I've never really had a vacation where I don't have anything planned to do anything like this, so it's been nice. Got to go see family. I got to go see my new girlfriend's family. Hung out there quite a bit. So, yeah, it's kind of my life in a nutshell right now. Going golfing tomorrow morning, simulator. That's about it.
Oh,
I know you're renowned as being great with parents. You know, you're always like, friends like, oh, I love talking to Cody. Did that go the same with the new girlfriend's parents? Was it seamless or was?
Yeah, pretty seamless. A very traditional family. Play board games and games all day long, pretty much. Drink wine, drink beer. It's a good family. And yeah, her dad and her brother-in-law love golf. I'm kind of excited to show them. Like, I'm like, yeah, I like golf.
how invested you are? No, you don't like golf. You live golf.
So I'm kind of excited for them to come to the simulator with me. Just be like, yeah, if you ever want me on a scramble team, you're immediately a favorite.
I can't wait till they see your first drive.
Do they know how good you are? Or did you just say,
No.
yeah, I like golfing?
I just tell them I golf a lot. That's about it.
That's it. That's
I'm
all
waiting.
they know. They're going to be shell-shocked.
I know, I'm waiting for them to know that I'm.
I kind of do respect that.
1.3.
Just don't tell them don't brag about yourself. Just let them brag for you. To pump your own tires. I like it.
Yeah, that's me.
Nice. Evan, what do you got for us?
Well, since Cody hasn't been working, I guess I will fill in the gap, and I have been working. I had Saturday and Sunday, Monday off. Those were the only days I had off. Because work/school, however you want to count it, our last day wasn't until Friday. 22nd was our last day.
Pushing
Super
up to
late.
the wire.
Yes. Like, it didn't even feel like Christmas was on whatever day, Monday. The Christmas Eve snuck up on me. However, went to have a family party Friday night. Went to the bar Saturday night. Then 2 really good Christmases on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day.
Mugs.
We went to Mugs.
I was
Friday afternoon. I did a little day drinking Friday afternoon.
Wow.
More than I was expecting.
Wow.
End of the semester, what do? Go day drink at the new tavern all afternoon.
Oh,
you went to the Tecumseh Tavern?
Yes.
How was that?
I was there
haven't been there yet.
way longer than I was expecting. Super nice inside. Everybody's gonna say the same thing. It's kind of small, but hey, nice, good atmosphere. I think it would be really fun to get if you reserved. I don't know if they even do that. Just a bunch of guys to watch a football game there because they have a really nice backdrop behind their bar. It is a football. I think it would be perfect to watch March Madness there. They have a ticker going on of a live track for
Teasers
gambling, live sports.
for later.
I love that. I love the live ticker. They have that at Clavon's Pizzeria in Jackson.
So very nice. Nothing but high praise there.
It's a teaser for my New Year's resolution, Evan.
Oh, stay tuned.
Okay.
Stay tuned.
So that was Friday. Saturday went to the bar, and I say gifts. Ho-hum. I ate so much. I don't know about you guys. I ate so much, and I felt so disgusting each day.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you have good food in front of you, it's hard to stop, and that's how I felt both days on Sunday and Monday.
Sweet.
I ate so much, I think it was Monday, that I woke up, had to go to work Tuesday. I was still full from the day before. Didn't even eat breakfast. And I'm a breakfast guy. Just pushed it off. Grabbed my cup of coffee and went.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable.
Clean yourself out
food.
in the morning, then prepare for what was ahead.
Yes. Unbelievable good food. So that was a highlight. And then work and basketball practice. Full swing of things. Getting ready for Christmas break.
Very nice. For me, I'm trying to think on the golf theme. Let me set the stage first. So this year, we did what I was telling people was a home and home where first Marissa's parents came down from the UP. Credit to them for making that trek. And thankfully, great weather this year in the state of Michigan. Well, if you wanted snow, I guess it's not great. But in terms of driving, well, there was fog, but no snowstorms. So they were able to come down pretty easy on Friday. I didn't really take off any PTO. I could have, but I was playing some PTO cap gymnastics for the next year. Had the trip coming up. So I was I'll just work. I don't know if I'll ever be working the 26th ever again. That is not a fun experience. It's not like
Preach.
it was like a different type of
Preach.
hangover. This guy I work with came in, he's like, I didn't drink much yesterday, but I feel hungover, like in a sense that
You just
I
feel
just don't.
exhausted and didn't even do anything. You just laid around all
Holiday
day and you
hangover.
still.
Yeah, the holiday hangover of just like I've even just gone 3 days without thinking about work, and now I'm just like supposed to be back into it, and the office is dead. There's like 30% of the people there. It's just like, yeah, I don't know if that's for me. So they came down. My parents came up on the 23rd. Before they came up, some of her cousins booked a bay at Topgolf to stay on the golf theme. So went there before noon on. That's the only time we could really get a bay. You have to go early in the day.
Do remember seeing this Snapchat now?
So went there. My first game, I came in last in my group of 5, behind Grandma. So that was not good. But my second game, I won by like 100 points. So I just called it a warm-up game. Classic. Like, we don't really keep track of scores until game 2. Everyone knows that.
Front nine didn't count. Back nine's when you finished strong.
Yeah, exactly. And also the scoring at Topgolf, I can't figure it out. I mean, I have a gist of it, but it's really, it's all over the place. They have an Angry Birds game, though, which is really fun. There was a couple of younger kids there, and just play the Angry Birds game. Even myself, my childish brain, I love that. And then, what else? 23rd went downtown Rochester. Christmas Eve went to one of the cousins' house I had mentioned. They did a great job hosting. A really smart move that I think people overlook. They catered food from a awesome Mexican restaurant that's like in downtown Detroit in Mexican town, so like authentic Mexican food. And I know it's maybe a little bit pricier than making a bunch of food, and they still did make some dips and made these great spicy margaritas, but great food, and you don't have to stress as much about making everything. So just a smart move on their part to do that. And I know it's Christmas time, you don't think of Mexican food, but it was fantastic on Christmas Eve. So I think that could be a future, maybe not every year tradition, but Mexican food on Christmas Eve was fantastic. And
seafood nachos, so it's kind of the same.
Oh yeah, that's like dipping into both.
Mm-hmm.
So then you pair that with just putting yourself in the mental state that Lions fans were that day. Started out with some high noons, but then as like things were going well in the game, switched over to spicy margs. Had about 3 spicy margs, and then the victory cigars. What a day that was! I had to throttle down on the margs, mix in a couple waters through the end of the night to keep playing board games and card games with everyone. But I timed it perfectly. I hit my peak at the end of the Lions game and then throttled it down, and it was good for the rest of the night. And then Christmas Day is where the other part of the home and home comes in. We all drove down to Tecumseh, spent Christmas Day there. Last Christmas in that house, shout Pierce Court, you served us well.
Wow.
Breaking news? Is this breaking news?
The move has been in the works, but it's pretty official that I think the signing is happening
Legends
here
moving on
relatively soon, and not too far, but technically we'll become Ohio residents into Sylvania, Ohio. So really it's just like the opposite side of the border, but still same distance to Adrian, essentially just a little bit farther to Tecumseh. So that was the last Christmas there. Good to see it one last time.
Can you shed a tear?
Well, no. I am going back there this weekend because we're going to go to the airport from there. So I did have that in the back of my head that I was coming back. It was interesting though, because like a lot of stuff has been moved out, so it has already lost some of its the charm.
Lost its luster.
Yeah.
Did you put in the agreement that you, whenever you want, you could just pick the pool in the whole backyard for whatever day you want to just have a pool day?
No.
One day a year.
Contract? Just one day of the year. Be like, hey, sorry guys, this pool is mine.
They should do that. Yeah, like we get to rent it out one weekend for a party.
Good memories of soaking my socks in there. Hammer put my feet in the pool, didn't realize I had my socks on.
I remember that. Good food. Little crazy good Christmas spread. One of the better Christmas meals I've had. It was like a true surf and turf. Credit to Marissa's dad for just being like, "Yep, we'll just get all of it." It was some steak. It was like the SpongeBob with like some chicken, some pasta, but it was some steak, crab, lobster, and shrimp. Just absurd spread of food, and then good cheesy potatoes, asparagus, all the good stuff. And then I don't know about you guys, but I felt, especially this weekend, I watched so much football, and not necessarily like full football games, but I saw so many different like moments throughout the week where football was on. Like if I was in any situation, there was always some game going on. I just feel like I have these little like moments throughout the weekend of sporadic football plays. I mean, obviously the Lions game, the full thing, and then I did watch all of the Niners Ravens game. But besides those two, I just saw moments of like every single game. It felt like this weekend.
Yeah, I watched. I think the entire UCF and Georgia Tech bowl game.
Really?
It was on just Friday night, and
that was the Friday.
I watched that.
I only watched 3 games this weekend. It was Lions, Cowboys game, Niners game. Those are the ones that I really cared about.
I watched all the games on Monday. Started with the Raiders, Chiefs, Eagles, Giants, and then into. Well, I guess that was on Monday. Yeah, Monday. I went to bed. I did go to bed though. Had to work the next day. Did go to bed at halftime of the Ravens 49ers game. I didn't need to see Brock Purdy throw another interception.
Yeah, he pulled a full Mullins. 4 picks.
Hand up. Okay. Now that we're on that topic, I totally forgot. So I'm in a second fantasy football league. Was in the semifinals. Okay. I had Brandon Ayuk and Christian McCaffrey going on Monday Night Football, and they had Zay Flowers. Shout out Gino. I was facing him. I lost by 0.7 points. Yep. I'm actually glad I didn't stay up because I would have just been pissed going to bed. So I'm glad I didn't stay up. I just woke up and was like, wow.
McCaffrey had a down game.
While it was like 4:45 in the a.m., so I couldn't even like get upset about it. It's like, hey, you have to go to work.
But I feel like all 3 of those players had decent games. I know Flowers got targeted like 13 times
Flowers
in the
had,
game.
like, I think the best game of his career, like fantasy-wise, I think.
Good for Gino.
Brutal.
McCaffrey got his typical 25 points with ease.
Pour one out for anyone that faced Amari Cooper this weekend.
Against Alex.
Oh,
Alex
you're right.
In our golf league, Alex had it, and he ended up beating me to go to the finals. Sad day.
Grant, you could brag about yours. We said we were talking about it. The update. You won the Shawnee Michigan Sports Bowl.
I pulled through. It was more Alex lost the Shawnee Michigan Sports Bowl.
Didn't you start Mullins?
His team laid 8.
Yeah.
Done.
And to be fair, like Mullins is one of those things where like when you're a fantasy football manager, you like to like make a move like that and then think you're a genius afterwards. Like, oh, who would have started Nick Mullins? I would have. But he only got 1 more point than Kyler Murray, so it didn't help me that much because that was who I was between. My reasoning was,
Can you hear that?
Yeah,
I muted it.
No, you're not muted.
You must have missed the button.
Dude, I muted it. It is beat red.
Now
you're muted. Now you're muted.
Yeah, you're good.
That was hilarious. I'm glad you didn't mute it. That was awesome. It sounded like an elephant. It's like, what the fuck? I knew what he was doing because I could see him.
It kind of sounded like he was turning a lightsaber on.
Yeah. I should take the audio out from that and put it into a Star Wars scene. Or write that down.
Oh, man.
But my reasoning was because I have Jefferson and Alex had Jordan Addison. And last week, Addison had like 29 points. And I was like, if he's going to go off, I need to get points. Because going in, I felt like I was the underdog because he has guys that can just get 50 like that. But it was one of those weeks where a lot of people just didn't perform for him. I think like A-Chain was bad. Addison got hurt. Devontae Adams fell off the face of the earth. He had 1 point and Kelsey had less than 10. So he just, and his Baker Mayfield magic ran out. So just an unfortunate there for Alex. Good for me. I played about an average game. Kind of nervous. and if I don't know if Levi's an avid listener, but obviously his team's good. The whole year, I never pictured him going the distance far, but you look up and down his team, it's solid. There's no like really weak spots in it, but I've never looked at it. And I think because he doesn't have a guy on there that is like a top 3 player at any position, it's just solid down the board. Well, I guess he has Jalen Hurts, but I learned after last year, anything can happen in any week of fantasy football. When I lost to Botcher, when I thought I was going to win, so we'll see how this week goes. But it would be very nice to win one.
Haven't you won like the last 3 years?
I'm trying because I don't know about you guys, but when I think about clarifying or labeling dynasties in sports, I've always thought if you win 3 titles in like either a 5 or 6 year span, you can be called a dynasty, but you have to win 3. If I win this year, I'll have 3 in the last 5 years. So I will be able to call it a dynasty. It'll also big though, because Levi will be a 2-time winner, which I don't think there's another one besides me. So that would be impressive for him too. He would vault into a new category, and people would be talking about me like he can't win the big game anymore.
Bama, Levi's Clemson. Wow.
Yeah. So there's a lot on the line here. And Cody, on the other side now, you have a big matchup at the bottom with Ben.
Yeah. Last week, Evan jinxed me.
I didn't jinx you.
Yes, you did.
Wilkins
on the
did.
Podcast. No, on the podcast, you're like, Cody's team is actually solid. I don't think he's not going to lose. He's not going to be in last place. And I was like,
didn't you face Ricky?
Yeah, the Muth got loose.
Pickens got loose, not the Muth. Oh, well, his name is the Muth.
You got Pickens.
You got George Pickens on whatever day that was. Thursday night football.
It's brutal.
Saturday. That was Saturday football.
I don't know if I'm going to keep the reverse jinxes up this weekend. It may have been a one-time thing, but I pulled out all the stops. That was a funny exchanges going on. I know Alex hates
Ben throwing it at me already too.
Yeah.
I know, with the name change, that's crazy. That might be bad luck. I actually think that's almost too far to change your name just for a matchup.
So we'll good win, Cody.
I hope Rashee Rice goes off, Cody, so we have a true win-win
like
deal.
18 points.
He's got to have a big game. Bounce back game from Mahomes. Their offense has just been so terrible that no one can even score on that.
That's what I mean. Mahomes has been god awful. I have him in my other league. Yeah.
All right, let's dive into our lines of winning the North. Then we can talk about bigger picture NFL stuff. I don't know where to. I want to start with the game itself. Moments from the game, things in the game, if you can put yourself back to watching it, the nerves you felt, and then we can talk about like the more celebrations and like the wins. But to me, this game was almost storybook in the sense that it felt like a true SOL game or SOL moment was happening before our eyes. And it was like the entire thing of this team's just different, and they found a way to win the game. Like, I don't know about you guys, but like what went through your head when Jefferson makes that? Kaminsky doesn't fall on it, and Jefferson makes that 3rd and 27 catch.
30 yards back. Like, all right, it's 3rd and 24.
Yeah, Kaminsky not just trying to fall on it and end the game. I mean, come on.
He could have had the moment of recovering the outside fumble.
Yeah. He was trying to scoop and score.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I actually wasn't too upset about the Jefferson. I was more upset about the next pass of how that, I don't even remember who caught it. Some number 4, some no name. It wasn't Osborne.
Brandon Powell.
Yes, I was more upset about that play than I was Jefferson, because Jefferson, he caught that, and I was just like, well, it's kind of Justin Jefferson. What do you expect?
I was kind of confused, though, because it said 4th and 1, and then all of a sudden it went to 1st down and 10. I didn't see like how close it was. There was no review. Like it was just like, yeah, he got it.
Yeah, that was kind of a botched little
broadcast did us dirty where they flashed 4th and 1.
And I saw him spike, and I was like, game over.
The announcers were freaking out. They didn't know what it was.
It felt SOL. That's why I was having. It did. And also, I had flashbacks to last year when Minnesota beat Buffalo on that crazy Jefferson catch that kept the drive going. So, like, I was like, they're doing this again, and then the Lions are SOLing. And then I was already thinking about like, oh, we have to go to Dallas. That's probably a loss. Then it's like going to come down to the final week. And I was running all through my head. But then
Jump way ahead.
Way ahead. And another parallel too is that for Cody, you especially, but that Michigan-Ohio State game, if you're a Michigan fan, a Lions fan, this was like a carbon copy of the same drive to end the game where they are moving down the field faster than you'd like. And then in the same area of the field too, they take a shot to their best player, McCord to MH, Marvin Harrison, Mullins to Jefferson, and get the pick. Different type of throw, but it was like the same exact carbon copy of how the game ended, which was kind of cool.
I've said that all year that the Lions and Michigan are so identical in team like construction. It's insane. They play the same style of football, except JJ's a little bit more mobile than Jared.
Yeah, way more. There was one Jared play where it was like he just stood there for so long in the pocket, and like any other quarterback would have taken off for 20 yards, and he just didn't. And then I think he like checked it down. I don't know exactly what quarter it was, but I remember saying out loud to who I was watching with, I was like, I mean, any other quarterback there scrambles for 20 yards. I just can't move.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other big things. Obviously,
Jahmyr Gibbs getting the
Brian
ball.
Branch interception.
Oh, yeah, that was crazy in the end zone.
That and then
That,
that
like, just got
parlayed
off
into
some,
the
like,
Gibbs fumble.
Yeah, just like a bad taste in my mouth. Like, this is actually going to be like a close game.
Mhm.
Like, we go down there, score on a 14, 15 play drive. It's like, all right, we came to play. And Minnesota does the same thing, drives right down the field. Missed sack on that play first by Anzalone. Wide open, good blitz. Whiff sack, then he scrambles, and you're gifted an interception. It's like a 14-point swing there. And I'm like, oh my God. Basically, from the start, you're like, well, this is going to be a close game when it shouldn't be.
See, and I never had like a true doubt just because of how good we were actually playing. We had some bad swings. That was about it. But like our defense played fine. Our offense played good. Kind of just kept churning, and then all of a sudden one thing would happen, and we would be like, oh, all right, on the ball.
I just hate how we had so many, like, we had 4 interceptions, so 3 during the middle of the game, portion chunk of the game, and we weren't up by more than 7 points. Like,
yeah.
But we wouldn't sustain a drive. We'd end up giving it right back.
Like 3 interceptions, you should be up by at least like 14. And no, they should never be closer than like 10 points. I think that's what upset me the most.
I don't want to say it's like as simple as the whole Jared Goff, Brian Flores narrative they were pushing, but when they showed those graphics and how much, I mean, Brian Flores is a genius at defense, and just specifically against Jared Goff, the bad history. I don't know if you can just chalk it up to that, because there really was no reason the Vikings secondary should have ever slowed us down, especially with they had their starting corner out, and they're not high level talent in the secondary. I'm sure the home field crowd played a factor, but we didn't have the volume like super high when I was watching, but you could kind of hear it had to be crazy loud in there with the whiteout. Looked fantastic. So I don't know if you just chalk it up to that, but you're right. I remember thinking that, Evan. I remember thinking there's been 3 interceptions by this quarterback already, and it's still a very tight game, and just thinking why is it that way? But
I honestly think Minnesota did a really good job of like our safety valve, our go-to safety valve in Laporta. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, Amonra had another typical Amonra game, 12 for over 100 and a touchdown. But at one point through like the third quarter, close game, we're losing or something like that. I'm like, where is Sam Laporta? I think credit to Minnesota, they took him away for 85% of the game. I don't even know what Laporta finished with, but it wasn't
a typical Laporta.
It wasn't noticeable.
Game.
Yeah. And then, I mean, I do like Gibbs being able to run the ball more than he had previously. I'm pretty sure he got more handoffs than Montgomery.
I think he should be getting like 70% of the carries now.
He got
when he can't get through the line and stuff, put Montgomery in there.
Like he did. I don't know what officially did. Yes, but I agree with you, Cody.
Like
he ended up getting the same amount of touches.
Yeah, but Gibbs had 100 all-purpose. I think it was 80 and 20 or something. I saw the other day or yesterday.
Yeah, I got him up here.
I didn't look at the stats later.
Gibbs 15 for 80, so 5.3 a carry. Montgomery 17 for 55, 3.2 a carry. So you see the averages there.
But you know what I
And
mean? Like when they
Gibbs
start
a
like
long of 18.
crowding that lineup, and Gibbs is a smaller running back, he can still get through there. But like having a Montgomery or somebody to bust through that line to kind of like, I don't know, just kind of exert some force
Make a guy
behind their
miss.
offensive line.
Gibbs is making a guy miss.
Exactly. That one Barry juke that he had, oh my Lord. He didn't go lateral on a juke. He went forward and changed directions. It was the coolest run I've seen from him, like, in a while.
If he didn't fumble, that run would have been better than his juke run on 4th down.
Yeah.
Because he's getting the handoff, and there's a guy in his lap 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Spins out of that.
I jinxed that.
Makes the guy miss, and then he's running full speed 10 yards, and then the guy just puts his helmet in the most perfect spot.
Yeah.
Like anybody can dream of.
It was a terrible form tackle, too. He just got lucky where he hit him.
Yes.
I looked at somebody I hosted the Christmas party, and I looked at somebody, as soon as he went through the line, I'm like, Gibbs is so good. And boom, fumble. I'm like,
I said something close to that. I was like, oh my gosh, what a run. And then he fumbles. I was like, you can't make this up. But inside my head, I was like, oh, he was down. It's the NFL. He was down. Then they showed the replay within 5 seconds, of course. I was like, oh, great. True fumble.
Yeah. Credit to our staff as well for riding him still after that and not getting scared. You could easily see with a rookie running back that fumbles in that game of that magnitude. Like you've seen Bill Belichick put a guy in the doghouse, but they trusted him. They went back to him, and he had 2 touchdowns and was like pivotal in multiple points in that game. So I guess I would hat tip the staff for that, is riding your guy and trusting him.
If we have to think of something negative, Grant, that last drive by the Lions offensively, like that adds up to like Minnesota's last drive. Minnesota takes the ball down and you're like in a oh shit mode. If you add that with our last drive of how poorly executed and play calling that last drive was, it's just adding up to like there's no way we can lose this game.
I'm looking
just
back
the mismanagement, the timeouts, negative plays, the play calling itself.
We ran it. We were passive.
Yes, I did not want to go out that way.
Yeah, I do remember getting my biggest negative moment in the game. I had to pee, so I used it as a time just to get up because I needed to collect my thoughts. Was the on the field ruled it as a touchdown? Jared Goff fumble, like carbon copy of the Packers game, where it's like about to leave his hand. And they scored it. And I was like, I've seen this movie before. This is the Packers game. I just stood up and I went and like, I had to pee, like I said. And I was just like, deep breath, like, all right, whatever. Like, it's going to be one of those games. Come back out. They reversed it. Great feeling. I was like, all right, we're back.
Yeah, they didn't even like show like any of the refs during that moment. They just like came back from a commercial break and like the Lions had the ball. They're like, yep, it wasn't a fumble. It was like carry on, like no big deal or anything. Mm-hmm. Like, no, that's a big turning point in the game. You should talk about this a little bit more.
I was full disgust. I was like, oh, I've seen this movie before. Here we go.
Talking about the game now, jogging my memory. I'm pretty sure we ran like a hybrid flea flicker where we had a handoff up the middle, and then I think it was Gibbs, might have been Montgomery, chucked the ball to the sideline on like a screen pass to a wide receiver.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure
one.
Was it this game or was it another game? But they're all blending together. But I'm pretty sure it was our game.
I didn't see that.
I believe you. It sounds like something Ben Johnson would do. I saw like a screen
pass to like JMO out there. I thought that.
I'm pretty sure a running back took the handoff right up to the middle and just jump past, threw it out to the side, like to the top of the TV. I gotta look it up now.
While you do that. He doesn't pop off the box score like if you were to box score watch, but JMO continues to impress me down the stretch. He made nice catches in traffic, and he just has that ability. He did it again where he juked 3 defenders and picks up a first down, which is a small thing, but you pick up first downs, especially as a knack to do it in the red zone when it's tight. Again, like he jukes a guy, immediately spins out of a guy, gets a first down, huge, because then Ben Johnson can get more creative with his plays. He just continues to impress me.
Wasn't it like the first drive of the year or the game, like to get into the red zone?
It was definitely early. Definitely, I remember it happening. But it was awesome.
I'm really happy. Like this whole year, people have been going after JMO like to his throat, and I kind of took a step away from like even thinking about JMO, where I was like, I'm just gonna let him like show up one day and be like, oh my god, that guy plays for us. And I'm so happy I did that instead of like waste my time dissecting Brad's picks and stuff. I was just talking to Marty last night about it, and yeah, I'm super excited for what he's going to be now.
Yeah,
He's nasty.
it feels like the fan base has really done a 180 on him, and it's probably good to remind ourselves to not get our hopes too high. Like, keep treating him as just a good football player, because if you keep comparing him to the 12th overall pick trading up, he's not that production level yet. But just be happy with the strides we've made when we thought he might be a complete bust and like never play for us.
Yeah, and then you look at the other side, and you have Laporta and Gibbs, 2 of the top 4 in offensive rookie of the year contention right now. Like, you can't hit on all 3 of them. Like, I'm just happy we have the other 2, and JMO's going to be fine going forward, hopefully.
Yeah.
To like just be up there with them.
On the defensive side of the ball, we've done a lot about offense. When you look at the box score and watch the game, it really is the secondary that stood out. You look at the raw numbers here. Kirby Joseph led the team in tackles, and he had 2 interceptions. And you got Branch, who had a sack and a pick, and you have Melifonwu, who had 2 sacks and a pick. If you had asked me before the game, like, who on our defense would have made plays, I would have said probably the linebackers, like Anzalone would have made a good play, and maybe Hutch gets a sack, and Pascal has a breakout game, but it was the secondary, which was awesome. Peak of the moment was Kirby doing a celebration mid-play. It was absurd.
He forgot that he had to continue on. I didn't know if he or what that was. I was cracking up.
Absurd. And I want to say this too, because there's been a big talk online. You know how fan bases are when someone gets injured. All like well wishes to Hawkinson, and I hope he recovers like fully and is a dog next year. But there is something to be said where like you want a safety like Kirby that is known for picks to not be afraid to make that tackle too. Like that, it almost sets a tone for your team that if you're going to catch a ball over the middle, that we're going to hit you hard. So it was good to see some lack of a better term, grit and physicality from the secondary. Obviously, you don't want it to end in an injury like that, and people are going to debate that and say, was it dirty or not? But at the bare minimum, as long as you're in the confines of the rules, you want to see your secondary make plays like that as well, because the secondary has had a lot of problems this year, and they still gave up 400 yards. But it was good to see at least them make plays in the game.
Well, and you look like what Tom Brady said like all year. These are the quarterback's fault as much as the defensive like players. Quarterbacks are putting these players in terrible positions, get smoked over the middle. And Tom is like talking about how they just don't know the fundamentals of the game anymore. You can't make that throw.
Yeah. The other guy I wanted to spotlight was Melifonwu sealed the game. Someone said that I saw compare like he's kind of this year's James Houston, which I think is a pretty nails comparison, where a guy you just didn't really think much of. The difference in this case, though, is that Melifonwu has been on the team for a few years, and credit to him. Like if you thought in the offseason there's a real chance, like if you had asked us or asked anyone, they'd be like, oh, he might get cut because of the amount of safety talent they brought in. They bring in CJ, Brian Branch, Tracy Walker's back. You got Kirby Joseph back there. You don't really, and then they bring in Sutton, they bring in Mosley. You don't even think about Ife Melifonwu on this team whatsoever. And credit to him for just grinding and gets his moment. And he looks awesome. I don't know how long it'll last. I don't know if he's here to stay or if he's a shooting star, but I will never forget the last 2 games that he's had for sure, and clinching the division like that. That's an all-time moment. Someone said, like, yeah, you just never have to buy a drink in the city again for just making a pick like that to seal the division. It's awesome.
Yeah, he's been playing great. What do you think happens when CJ comes back? Do you move Branch down to like a corner or slot safety or slot corner? Make him like a I don't know, like a nickel back, because you're not going to take Kirby out.
Yeah. And you can't. I don't think you can take Melifonwu out the way he's been playing. So maybe Branch does more coverage,
and then have like a roving branch or roaming branch.
Yeah, and maybe if you have to get CJ GJ in, which I think if he's healthy he should, because he adds a certain. Maybe he takes Vildor's snaps, who's been playing a good chunk.
I saw that name. I had no idea who that was.
Yeah, he's a somewhat recent guy. I'm not sure where he came from.
I didn't know Dorsey was getting snaps. I was like, I don't know who this guy is. I've seen him the last 2 weeks now. It's
wild. That's why it's like there still is a unit making plays. They gave up 400 yards, but they gave 4 picks on the other side. So it's, I don't know.
It's almost like they're.
I found it. There was a trick play handoff, flea flicker, basically. Right after Kirby's interception, Montgomery threw a lateral pass. Technically, it wasn't a forward pass, so it didn't register. It was backwards. But 2:37 left in the second. We're up 10-7. First play, I think, after the Joseph interception. It is just a basic handoff. Actually, there's like extra offensive lineman, tight ends, fully on the left side, handoff. Montgomery throws it out to Raymond.
I'm going to have to watch this.
Yeah.
After this, I'm going to have to watch it.
I had to rewatch the game the other day because I didn't really get to watch it live.
You got 8 to 9 yards on it. What Raymond did.
I need to watch the extended cut highlights for sure. And also I want to hear like the calls. I listened to Dan Miller's call, which was awesome.
Oh, Dan Miller's so good at his job. It's awesome.
It's so good. And he deserves this championship as much as pretty much anyone.
Oh, God.
For just grinding through radio calls for as long as he has of a bad team.
He helped restore the roar.
Yeah, you can argue that his weekly clips draw as much buzz as anything. I think that's a good transition to the big picture, like celebration aspect of this and the long time coming. I want to start with Evan. You kick us off. Your favorite, because we talk about this on the show. When a team wins a game, you get glued to every single media thing that comes out. You want to see your team's clips. You want to see what national shows say about you. You want to see everything. What was your favorite thing you saw coming out of the win? Maybe narrow it down to one or two if you can't just pick one.
Favorite thing? Shoot. I think it's just like the praise. I think finally from like Fox and CBS or Good Morning Football, which I watch quite a bit of, because
who's your favorite on the cast?
I like Schrager just because he has like a man crush on like every good like head coach, and he'll always he's that type of guy. But for them to, you don't have like the naysayers. Like when Dan Campbell was hired, you had a bunch of people making fun of it, and a bunch of those like edited videos are coming out. So the people that are actually like, no, like Lions are actually building something from day one, actually great to see. And then a bunch of like people just laughing in the old takes faces about how Dan Campbell was a clown, it's not going to work. And then 2 years later, it completely 180 changed. I mean, but my favorite thing, I was just on my phone just trying to get, like you said, all the Twitter and everything, and a monitor just goes live. Like, well, we're 15 minutes after the game. I'll go watch it. And he is just in the locker room, have no idea what's going on. It's just hilarious to watch all grown men dancing like they're kids.
I instantly, when I saw it text, I was like scrambling to try to go see if someone was live, and then I knew people would cut clips and I'd go back and watch, but I was like, oh, nothing better than just hopping in like a live. I did that like last year when the Vikings players would go live for work to try to cut something fast, and it's just like, you never know. Well, that was during the Kirk O'Chain stuff. So like I just had that like Instagram live. That's like a new trend could come from, is like when people are unfiltered.
So great.
Cody, what stands out to you?
My favorite was the Pat McAfee show did like a segment talking about the brand new lines. Pat went through Dan Campbell's initial welcome speech or welcome podium stance and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he threw up the Colin Cowherd thing that Jared Goff was going from Sean McVay to Fred Flintstone.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the coolest posts like that I've seen Pat McAfee do in a while. And just because it was home Detroit Lions for me, but I've tried to stay off social media lately just because I don't want to get ready. I've been getting ready in my own way for the Michigan game now. I'm on to Michigan. So, but yeah, I did see that, and that was really cool. Them actually talking about the brand new Lions, and it happened. Electric.
Yeah. I saw that one. That was a good one too. It's always good when someone's got like a well-produced, they have the receipts ready, they have the video clips ready, and then can talk about them. And it helps they have that one guy, Foxy, on the show who's a Lions fan, so you can just see his happiness like in the back too. My three that stood out to me that I just either were funny or emotions the most was the Pelissero interview with Jared Goff on the field after the game, and he almost starts crying. And he does it in like a really goofy Jared Goff way where his voice cracked and he kind of like laughed and and then he talked about like someone was walking by him and he was like, that guy was on the 3-13 team. I just think about all those guys that grinded through that. Like that was awesome. Seeing your quarterback about to cry like on the field, thinking about it and the shit that he had to go through where basically, I mean, it worked out for the Rams. I don't blame them for doing it, but like his coach publicly was like, I don't want this guy. I'm going to go to Cabo to do a deal with Stafford and ship you out. And everyone's like, oh, Jared Goff's dead. Like he's going to a wasteland. Awesome moment for him. And then the 4-minute or so long video that the Lions put out of like kind of an unreleased speech of Dan Campbell. Like maybe we saw bits of that on Hard Knocks, but I think they just let the whole thing go of him like visualizing and going through like what it's going to be like to be champions was goosebumps. It was so good, so well produced.
That was like the first thing he said on day one, right?
Yeah, I think it was early, but yeah, because I remember seeing parts of that speech, but we got like the full thing, and credit to them for just sitting on that. You know, like, one day if we do it, we'll use this. And then the silly one is the Tiger Woods big dog meme that's been going around everywhere when the Lions put the Amon jersey on and said Lions fans like showing up to Christmases today, like big dog. Like that was relatable because I just seen family and friends, because backstory is a lot of Marissa's family is Packers fans and season ticket holders. So now is like the Lions fans' Christmas to have fun. So we're like big dog, like we weren't actually saying it, but it felt like big dog. How about the Lions? Like going to see your uncles that have like been fans for their whole life. It was just a great like holidays and very relatable that everyone's like the first thing you like small talk with someone is Lions. How about the Lions?
I'm on the line.
That was awesome. Gracie, though, I was thinking this, like, I don't know if this is a lesson that we take going forward, but when they were talking back, 3-13 first year, we knew it wouldn't be good, but they were 0-10-1, get the win against the Vikings. And then the next year is 1-6. And I remember doing the show, Evan, after that. It was after the Patriots game.
Patriots game. The unwatchable Patriots game.
Ben Johnson, like, they didn't score. I mean, we thought Ben was good, because we had seen flashes, but had a terrible game. And we were just sitting here and we're like, if he doesn't win more than 3 games, like we might want Dan gone. I said, if he doesn't win 4 games, he should be gone. Which I thought was fair at the time. And I still stand by it. Like if things had continued to gone poor, something's wrong, but it's just crazy. It's like, it's barely past a year from that moment
go
when
back
they were 1-6.
And re-listen to our takes after that game. Cause I was beyond pissed after that game. Like, good thing it only took a half to get it over with, because by the time I got home, I was kind of over with, because we were up in East Lansing. But that game was just like almost rock bottom to be a Lions fan, because you just start questioning everything you start questioning everything you're doing.
Rock bottom of the DC tenure, like, for sure.
Yeah, then now a year and a half, I should say, a year and a half later, and it is like unbelievable, because we're not used to it. We don't get
Alex would give us permission for this one. Unbelievable that we were 1-6, and then barely a year later, wrapped up the division by week 16.
You're 11-4, and you're fighting for the 2 seed. I would say the 2 seed in the NFC. 1 seed, you have to get a lot of help, but the 2 seed is definitely up for grabs in the NFC.
We're playing for a 2 seed on Saturday night, week 17.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah.
We said this how many weeks ago?
The 2 seed is where you're hosting everything until obviously the NFC Championship game.
Grant, I think it was you that sent the text to us. We were like, don't look now, but we could be playing for the 2 seed against Dallas week 17. Somebody said that, and I didn't think about it until then, and that's stuck in my head for the last 4 or 5 weeks. And it's just, now it's here.
Well, I was always the 1 seed carrying the flag early, and then I've
were.
cooled on it. I've cooled on it because I think my heart got hurt. I'm happy that my friends are back on the 1 seed train, but I've lost some steam because, and I don't want to be negative Grant because this last week was a dream, but I just go at Dallas is such a tall task. I'm not anticipating a win in that game. And the whole season, I had pictured that just being a loss because even if Dallas is a little fraudulent, but at Dallas, I know, Evan, you're going to convince me. I hope you can.
I'm standing on my grave that I built for myself all year about that game.
If we win that game, I don't know. I think we can win any of the games. Any of them. Dallas is harder than the 49ers at 49ers.
No.
Yes. What?
No.
I think it is.
Oh. No.
I think it is.
Brock might be banged up. If Brock is banged up, then maybe.
He's a stinger.
Here's what I'll say about what I've been thinking about the way the playoff could work out. At home in Ford Field, I would go into the game believing fully that they can win, even if it was the 49ers coming to Ford Field. But at the same time, if you told me we had to go to Dallas, go to Philly, or go to the Niners in the playoffs, I would assume we'd lose.
But I wouldn't be shocked if we won.
I'd be shocked if we beat the Niners at Candlestick, or whatever they call it now. I would be,
Levi Stadium? Come on, the Big Bell Bottom?
I'd be surprised if they... I'd be surprised if they went into Philly. I know Philly has looked weird, but Philly, I don't know if I'm putting too much into home field advantage in Jared Goff's history in domes versus not domes, but you put us in like a cold night in Philly and they're like throwing shit at us. I don't love our chances. But maybe this team's different. Maybe they just are built differently. I don't know.
When Darrow had week 1.
They did, and I see why. You got the full belief because that was a rowdy environment, and they pulled it out.
I had zero belief that we would win that game that night. And now I look at it like Michigan and Ohio State. I will always have confidence that we can, but there's a part of me that thinks we can lose any game, but I know we can win any game, and it's mostly small hands on Jared Goff, but whatever.
If they beat Dallas, I will suck myself into, like I said, being able to beat any team at home. Whoa. Wait, easy there. Convince myself into any win at home with a surprise if they were to win ever at 49ers. That's about where I'm at. But at home, that's why the 1 seed and then even the 2 seed is so important. If you can get Dallas or Philly to come to you if you win your first game against Seattle, Rams, whatever. Crazy that we're even getting to that point, but let me reel it in with one more in the moment thing. We already talked about him in the one moment of him tearing up, but just crazy to think too, looking back to when we started this podcast, when the Stafford Goff trade was the very first thing that happened. What a blessing from starting a podcast gods that we had that big of a trade to discuss. That from that moment, it actually turned out that Jared Goff is like the name of the quarterback who finally did it. That is something that I'm taking for granted right now, but I think in like 10 years when we or 15, 20 years when we're reminiscing about our fandoms is like, remember when Jared Goff was actually the guy that was the quarterback? I know there's a lot of pieces around him, Penei Sewell, the coaching staff, Brad Holmes, but like Jared Goff, at the end of the day, took all the snaps under center and was the one who pulled out a division for us. So credit
as soon as he got traded here, it was like, all right, how do we get rid of Jared Goff after 2 years?
Bridge. The word was bridge. Bridge QB. Yeah. Bad contract, awful contract, bridge QB. Contract's gotten better based on other contracts and probably here to stay.
I still think he has to win at least a playoff game to get more than a 2-year contract. If he doesn't win a playoff game,
I think he's getting 4 or 5 year deal.
I think if he loses his first round playoff game, he'll get a 2-year deal, or maybe a franchise tag.
What if I come back?
Grant, see how bad the Hendon Hooker pick is now. See how bad that Hendon Hooker pick is now.
Yes and no. I guess I just don't know what we have in him.
Yeah, you can't say that. I mean, Brock Purdy was the last pick in the draft. You don't know what Hooker is.
My point, I get that, but my point is like right now, I'd rather have a 4th round pick that's contributing in some way or some form than a backup quarterback that's not going to play because Goff just won us the first division in 30 years. Like, I want a player that's contributing right now than a quarterback that's, well, we don't know about him. What if?
Yeah.
Like, I would take depth at almost any position on the defensive side, and I would take a depth at an offense lineman position.
Yeah, but
That's
if we would have missed the playoffs, if we would have won 9 games and missed the playoffs this year, Hooker would be coming in at least a couple games next year just to see what's going on.
I get that. I get that, but
since we've overachieved this year, I guess not yet. If we win one more game,
we were favorites.
It was 11.5, right? Or
we were favorites in some areas to win our division, but I don't think this many wins.
Which is weird, though, because I think the over-under was 11 wins. Beginning of the season.
I do have a note that I need to go back to our season prediction win-loss. I forget how bullish or not we were.
But the schedule was in our favor just due to we played the AFC West, and we were last. Were we last? No, we were not last year. Bears were.
I don't know.
So we faced the second to last teams in all the other NFC divisions. So next year, now we're facing the first. So now we get to face Philly. We get to face the 49ers.
Oh, our regular season's going to be so sick.
It's going to be disgusting.
Be awesome. But a grind. It's going to be awesome.
Yes.
They are Michigan.
Eagles, South, I don't care who we play under there, but we're just going to have to face better teams. And I think we have to play we
don't have to play the Chiefs, and we don't have to play the Ravens next year. We'll have the...
Let's have to play the AFC North. AFC, that was our crossover. The AFC North. We might have to play the entire AFC North. How loaded they are.
They are. Hey, shout out to the Browns, too. I saw a stat in the last 70 years. This is the first time the Lions and Browns have both won more than 10 games in a season.
Yeah. Their story's not crazy because they're doing it with Joe Flacco. And it's...
yeah.
It's kind of funny, but it's like... There's those people that die hard. So like, you can't win a Super Bowl without a game-changer superstar at quarterback, but then there's also the other side. It's like, well, if I have a solid team, I can get to the playoffs, and you never know what can happen with just about any quarterback.
Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl.
Correct.
Baker almost went to Arrowhead and beat the Chiefs.
Rex Grossman went to a Super Bowl.
Baker's one win away from completely changing his career. Yeah, Rex Grossman. Oh my God.
Now his only claim to fame is helping Alex beat Young Hoku in the quarterfinals.
I mean, you saw Blake Bortles should have won the AFC Championship game with Jacksonville.
Yes,
should have.
I'll never get over that.
He's an elite quarterback.
Speaking of quarterbacks, my only Week 16 observation, Evan, is just for the betting markets. I know I don't love this award, but people obsess over it every week. But any thoughts on Lamar probably going to win the MVP now? Tough hill to be on.
Christian McCaffrey should win. He's the best player.
Christian McCaffrey is the best player in the NFL.
He's not going to win it. He might get a couple votes, but Lamar's going to get it, which is so disgusting because I just rag on him all the time. He's going to be a 2-time MVP.
Hall of Famer.
Grant, if he wins the MVP, I hope he loses in the first round of the playoffs.
That would be big for you. You need that.
That would be huge for me. But he's going to have a bye because they're going to be the 1 seed, so it's going to be more disgusting.
Crazy, too, to think back to the offseason when multiple teams were coming out saying we want nothing to do with them, really. Like, how stupid do the Falcons look? Just like, no.
Yeah, Lamar had that whole drama problem with, like, is he going to show up or whatnot, didn't he?
He represented by his mom, didn't have an agent. People couldn't figure out, like, what he wanted. You're going to walk away from the Ravens. Multiple teams were saying, no, we're good. Like the Falcons put out like a public statement saying we're good on Lamar Jackson. Just insane thing to think back.
Lamar Jackson and Bijan Robinson would be pretty sweet together.
Oh, that would be disgusting.
The throwback helmets to the red helmets. Ooh-wee. Idiots.
Yeah, if I was a Falcons fan, I'd be so pissed.
I would be pissed.
You'd have to wear number 7, though, if you went there.
Deal.
It'd be dirty.
You can have it.
Be dirty.
You can wear 7.1.
Anything else to get off our chest about the Lions? School were the only game on Saturday night. I'm looking forward to that display.
Now we get to listen to a Dallas Cowboys Homer Fest all freaking day, though.
Jimmy Johnson ceremony with Aikman.
It's going to be broadcasted live. Don't even watch halftime. It's going to be broadcasted live on ABC. I hope we're up 35. Yeah.
Dude, that would be so cool if we ruined Jimmy Johnson tonight. Oh, that'd be awesome.
That's like
Dan's gonna have him. Dan's gonna have him like when coaches would give you the homecoming speech, like they scheduled you for homecoming. They think you suck. They scheduled you for Jimmy Johnson night. I hope he does that. Also, I think the Cowboys are wearing navy blue, which is rare. So I think we're gonna have to wear white.
Well, they're probably wearing throwbacks because of Jimmy Johnson.
I wish we could keep rocking the all blues.
Oh yeah, the blueberries are sweet.
So good. And we win games.
Ooh,
we win
Cody.
big games in them.
The blueberries.
They look darker blue than the Honolulu blue.
Yeah.
They are. I'm convinced. I don't think they're the normal Honolulu.
Well, colors just change over like years and jersey changes that like people don't even notice it. They're like, oh yeah, these are our jerseys now.
Mm.
Like next year when we get new uniforms, like the blue's gonna be like totally different.
CeeDee Lamb's going to go for like 125 and 2 touchdowns against us, but we might still win the game.
Might still win the game. Good thing Dallas doesn't have a run game, so
just please don't make what's his face Micah Parsons end our season.
Yeah.
I'm actually looking forward to the Micah Parsons thing because the only sad thing is Micah Parsons is going to line up on our left side, defense's right side, so much because it's going to be Taylor Decker. Because I know damn well Sewell will have him locked up if he lines up on that side the entire time.
Decker not at practice today. Don't know if it was for rest or
has to be for rest.
Or because he was limited yesterday, I think. I try not to get too into the weeds with
Decker
reports
had diarrhea because he had to face Parsons all week, so he's just going to sit out this week.
I think that's gone over the offseason.
That made me think of I don't know if you guys saw it. Oh, I sent it. But I don't know if people got to it. The Jair Alexander story was one of the funniest things I've heard.
I was watching Pat McAfee live. I saw some glimpse of it yesterday. Something about it. One of the networks like talked about how he went out there and it was just joking or whatever. And then Pat McAfee like broke the news, like breaking news on his show while I was watching it. And like they were so dumbfounded. And then JJ Watt comes on. He's like, "Hey, I barely like heard the last segment. Like, can you guys like give me a rundown?" And Pat's trying to describe it to JJ Watt. Hilarious.
I mean, how stupid?
Hilarious. I can't believe they suspended him for it.
You're fighting for a playoff spot. I guess nobody knew he'd probably be suspended for that.
Yeah. He said that when he goes, the boys were okay with it. I asked the guys. The coach must have forgot I was from Charlotte. Like, talk about being in your own world, just low IQ in that situation. And then him describing it in front of his locker with like the shades on and the hood up was just so funny.
Oh,
he's
awesome.
Like, it looked like a sketch from like SNL that you couldn't even script. Like, yeah, let's have a player think he's a captain when he's not and mess up the coin toss and get suspended. Like, you wouldn't even write that as a script for comedy, and he just did it.
Yeah.
And if they win out, they probably make the playoffs, right?
It would be close. I don't know who the tiebreakers. Yeah.
We helped them out by beating Minnesota. That game's huge on Sunday night. Huge.
That's what Sunday Night Football is. That's disgusting.
Screwed himself.
So now he's ducking JJ, which is good for my fantasy team because he locked him up last year, late in the year. So that was huge. That actually hurt Levi. Levi should be pissed at Jair Alexander more than Connor should be. All right. Let's transition into a couple minutes, spend some time here on the Rose Bowl. We did not end up having the full Michigan chat on. I thought about it. I did.
Granddaddy of them all.
It's so chaotic. It'd be so chaotic if multiple people joined. We've done those in the past where we had like 6 people in here, and it's just like impossible.
It'd be so
we would have to like
everybody raise your hand if you want to talk. Raise your hand if you want to talk.
We'd have to do a raise our hand feature for sure to do it. But Cody is in the Michigan chat. He's representing the chat, their thoughts. The granddaddy of them all, back on January 1st, prime slot for the playoff.
5 o'clock. Before we talk about this, Grant, I am pissed that the other playoff game, my Texas Longhorns, kickoff's not until 8:45, so realistically the kickoff's not until like 9:05, 9:10. Especially for those people who have to work the next day. so pissed.
I'll be sleeping in Alex's apartment the next morning.
It's stupid. It's one of the things that's just
never mind. Stupid Cody.
That's for the championship game. Yeah.
My bad.
Premature.
It's one of those things where, like, eventually when we get an actual commissioner of the sport, maybe they'll get some common sense and say, hey, we play on Saturdays every single day of the year. It's our day. Saturdays are for college football. Maybe we'll end our season on that day or play the biggest games on that day. But for now, I guess not. We play on Mondays. Yeah.
Friday night, Saturday night. Pretty sweet. Two prime times.
So good. I texted this somewhere, but someone was theorizing, I think on the Josh Pate show, that since it's all TV network driven, that since the NFL is like the wild card games are on ESPN now, like they got into that, they do a wild card weekend where the first couple games are Saturday, NFL, like the 1 p.m. is NFL, and then that leads a national NFL audience into college football, helping grow the game as well. Because there's a lot of NFL people that don't like college football. You force them, it goes into the game. You're like, oh, I'll stick around and see like maybe some draft prospects. And then boom, you love college football. It's so easy. Do
you lead it into a grant, or do you split the difference? Have an NFL game at 1, college game at 4, then a primetime game at 8?
You could do that. You could sandwich it. You could really get crazy. But mixing them together would be awesome.
Yeah, I agree.
As opposed to, I don't know what's on, Monday. That's going to, lead in. I guess it's all college football.
It should be the.
Yeah, the Rose Bowl game's fine. The Rose Bowl game's solid. 5 p.m.
Rose Bowl's supposed to be on New Year's Day.
Yeah. What's the latest line? Are we still hanging at 1.5? I need to pull up FanDuel.
I haven't looked recently.
I haven't looked in a while.
I would be actually very surprised if Alabama's not a favorite by kickoff. I feel like a lot of late money will come in on them because people will just like.
Yeah, you had the early money. Then you had this lull time.
So I was seeing something that it was 1.5, and the money kept coming in on Alabama, and it wasn't moving. The only time I've seen that happen was 3 years ago for the Michigan-Ohio State game when Delaney found that, and he was like, Vegas knows something. That line is not moving, and money keeps coming in on Bama.
Michigan's still
know something.
1.5 point favorites.
That's what I mean. You should. I think you can find out how much of the money's coming in for what.
Alabama is plus money though on money line.
So that's just saying, Cody. Like that's just basically Vegas doubling down on being confident in Michigan that they think they can do it. So they are trying to take people's
Vegas'
money, thinking that.
Not in the losing money game.
Shooting their shot, I guess, unless more comes in to flip it. But yeah, it definitely feels like they're just hanging that plus money. Like if I was unbiased, I would definitely hammer Alabama money line.
100%.
Like if I was a just easy, like Nick Saban, never bet against Alabama, I can double my money. I would easily do that. So they're really giving people a juicy steak with that. Yeah,
and
plus
this is a stupid question, but how much would you pay for Michigan to win that game? Because you know where I'm going with it. The emotional hedge. How much money would you actually be like, here's this money, I'm going to put it on Alabama. So that way, either way, I'm happy.
Like $200?
Yeah, throw it on Bama then.
Okay, I might.
then if Michigan loses, you're not going into a deep, deep dark hole. You're already starting your year off right on the betting trail.
Yeah, that's true. All right. I haven't done that strategy before. I know people have done it and they enjoy it, so I might do that.
So, Grant, I want to ask you, have you watched any of the Bama games? Like gone back and watching the replays?
Great question, Cody. Procrastinating. A little psycho of me. I'm a big to-do list guy, or else I forget things. Holiday party was the night of the SEC championship game and the Big Ten championship game. So I made a to-do list the next morning. I said, rewatch both those games. I haven't really watched much of the Michigan-Iowa game because I heard how crappy it was. And I don't know if I was going to learn much from that because I could sense that Michigan was just trying to survive and not get people hurt. People were banged up, whatever. I saw what I needed to see. I did watch the first half of the Georgia-Alabama game, and I have seen Alabama in person when they played Auburn. I was hungover because I got drunk during the day during the Alabama-Texas game, and I was multiple times said to the TV, Alabama's quarterback cannot throw the football. He since has learned how to throw the football, and they can win now. So those are the kind of games I've seen. But how about you? Have you watched more of them after the matchup?
So since Marty's moved in as my roommate, we have YouTube TV, and he records every single game. Alabama, Georgia, Texas, everybody. All of the games are on my TV. And
Love that.
the next morning, after every Michigan game, we are psychos and we watch that instead of Fox NFL Sunday. We watch
I love
the
that
game. And then, so fast forward, last night, we ended up cracking a bottle of bourbon and watching the Alabama-Georgia game to start off our trek towards the game. Tonight, we're going to watch one of them, and I don't know which one. So I kind of wanted to go like the most scary games first. It's like Bama, Georgia. That was the best Bama team I've ever seen this year, playing that game.
Really?
Next, this year. That was the best game that they played this year.
All right. I thought you were talking about like Saban's teams in history.
No.
Okay, I gotcha.
This year, that was the best game they've played. The next game, I'm probably going to go and watch like the LSU game or the Ole Miss game. That's going to be tonight. We were both off this whole week, so we're going to crack the bottle again. And
love it.
Then, as we get closer to the day, we're going to start doing like, okay, now let's watch the Texas game.
Yeah.
Now let's watch the Auburn game and see like watch the bad like performances by them and see like get our hopes really down and then bring them back up so that way we can watch Milroe, because I did this again, and I said it already a couple times on the show. Michigan and the Lions are the same team. The Ravens are the Alabama's the Ravens. Lamar Jackson is that quarterback, and it scares the crap out of me.
That'd be bad for Michigan.
I know. It scares the crap out of me, but like I still think on any given Sunday anybody can win.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So this game I'm not confident yet, but I'm more confident in this game than I was Ohio State. So there's a lot.
Really?
Yeah. The only thing that breaks my heart is Zinter going out. Consensus All-American like that. That's a tearjerker for sure. But now I heard we're moving Barnhart inside to right guard, and then we're putting I don't know, there's a weird name. This is a Monster Junior at right tackle.
Trent Jones? I think
the other one. It's like a weird name.
Hinton?
No.
Henderson's left.
I know. Marty lives in the MGO Blue blogs. Every morning he's listening, and it's on full blast out in the kitchen while he makes breakfast.
Giovanni, like El Hadid?
Yes, El Hadid. He's going to right tackle, I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
That's what I heard.
Cody, I like this. That would be crazy. That would be such a big pull for I'd cut that and be like, yeah, we knew he was starting, because I don't know if he's started or played much at all this year.
Well, I just saw that. Or Marty and I were talking about it last night. Him and Jones were going back and forth. And you know there's those big packages that we play.
Yeah. What'd you think about the first half of the SEC Championship game? Evan, too, if you watched it. So that's where I stopped. I didn't finish the second half. And I know the game was tighter. Alabama didn't blow me away, and I guess I was encouraged at how Georgia was able to move the ball pretty easily, especially early in the first half. But I guess the second half will tell me the rest that I need to see of how they pulled it out. But
Georgia missed that field goal right before half.
I didn't come away from the first half being like, oh, Alabama scares the life out of me. I like more than I already thought. Like I already do respect them a lot. Maybe it was impressive how their guards were double teaming and like discarding Georgia linemen to the ground. That's always impressive, moving the big boys up front like that. So maybe that was a little bit intriguing. But part of me still thinks if Brock Bowers and McConkey aren't banged up in that game, that Georgia figures out a way to win. Which is, I mean, I'm sure their whole fan base feels that way too. So
I think more like a second half. Just
Oh,
Sorry.
Oh, Doug. More of a second half kind of like first half. Okay, people figuring it out. Georgia goes down first drive, answers the call. I think just Alabama's like will and just basically just run the ball down your throat. A couple big plays here and there. Um, it's like the second half adjustments. I think both of the teams are similar. Where Michigan's kind of been like a second half team. They make better adjustments than most of the teams that they face. I think that's like the head-on-head collision there. Like first half, I think it's going to be slow, methodical. Okay, we have our game plan, game script. First quarter, I don't see a lot of going on. As long as Michigan doesn't give up a big play. But the second half, I feel like it's what are they doing well and who's going to adjust better and what's working. I think Michigan's done a really good job this year of where they have something going for them. They're not going to come off the train tracks for it. They're running the ball down their throat. They're going to run the ball down their throat. We don't care how we win. We're just going to win the football game. All right, we can't run the ball. They didn't really run the ball that well against Michigan State, but they still put up 49 points because you could have anything you want to your tight ends. So I think the biggest half, obviously, you have Nick Saban, who's the best college football coach of all time, versus a Michigan team that will not die no matter what you present them.
If you rewatch or if you remember from that game,
run through a brick wall.
If you rewatch a game for Alabama before the Michigan-Alabama game, watch their tackles. Very suspect. No.
Oh, defense.
I think we'll be able to run the ball up the middle. I don't think we'll be able to go outside very much, but I think we'll be able to run it up the middle a little bit.
I concur with that.
It's very encouraging.
Our team speed, we're not getting to the outside on those boys. But I agree. They're not built like the Georgia teams. They don't have Jordan Davis. They don't have Jalen Carter. They don't have Nakobe Dean. I think the weakest part of their defense is obviously their linebackers. They're inside linebackers. I'm not breaking news. One of the things I wanted to bring to the table, which is like speaks to the uphill battle of this, is why you always have to be nervous as a Michigan fan and any Big Ten team playing an SEC team. Is I was looking at a consensus big board for the NFL for next year, and it was a little disheartening. I know that depth of talent can win out over top end talent, but if you're talking about top end talent and in this game, it's on Alabama's side. Just some names to know, because I know I made the mistake when I watched Michigan play Georgia in 2021. I didn't give the Georgia individual players enough respect that I needed to give them until I saw them live, and then I learned all their names like on the fly. I was like, these guys are insane. So I'm getting better at like knowing the names. So for Alabama, for you Michigan fans out there, Dallas Turner, their edge rusher, he's projected top 10 pick in that range. Their cornerback, Kool-Aid McKinstry, great name, first of all. He's a top 15 pick, awesome player. And then the offensive tackle, J.C. Latham, he's projected top 15. And then you have who some people think is better than Kool-Aid, their other cornerback, Terrion Arnold. He's in the 20s right now. He's led the team in picks. And then the only other notable guy, Chris Braswell, is an edge rusher opposite of Dallas Turner. So their edges are strong. So you do see through reading through that their inside linebackers is where they're weakest, and their defensive tackles. They don't have who's the guy? Who's one of the big guys? I'm trying to think of their historic guys.
People that you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all should go this next year, and then they have a safety who was a freshman All-American, and people rave about him. I've been listening to some of their like beat reporters. He's like a Minkah Fitzpatrick, the fact that he started from day one as a freshman at, I think his name's Caleb Downs. He's a baller. But you have the corners, the two NFL corners. You got two NFL edge rushers on the outside. So this goes to your point, Cody, that testing the outside of this defense is not where you're going to make a living. And we've kind of known this, like seeing how Georgia has beat them. It's going to be up the middle, up the A-B gaps, and then using, which I think is a huge key that we've talked about with Alex when he gave his thoughts on it, was the tight end, Loveland and Barner, and really Donovan Edwards as well. I don't know if that's a bunch of angle routes, Texas routes, but getting him involved against their safeties, against their inside linebackers, is how you're going to be able to move the ball if the run game isn't consistent. If the run game is consistent, where you can get 4 yards a pop, even 3.7 yards a pop, with how patient Michigan is, as long as your defense is playing well, is enough to, I think, get this game to where you can win. I just don't see much success throwing to the traditional wide receivers on Michigan.
They couldn't even throw against Iowa. They can't.
Yeah.
Our wide receivers can't get separation against those cornerbacks. There's no way they're getting separation against Alabama unless there's a broken coverage. So yes, Donovan Edwards out of the backfield. I don't want him touching the ball unless it's through the air. I want Corum taking 30 snaps up the middle, and I want the JJ rollout like Jeter, and because I trust him in that. I trust him throwing across his body to a tight end. That's it. That's our defense. Jim Harbaugh just has to be Jim Harbaugh. We talked about it last night. The flea flickers and stuff last year, like that stuff needs to go away. Like
Philly special.
The Philly special. Sorry, that's what it was. That shit needs to be gone. Sorry, kid.
I do think No, you're fine. I guess I shouldn't be too harsh on. I said like no success. I could still see Roman Wilson having success on some of his dig routes over the middle, but the only way you'd ever get play like they did against TCU is if you ran a flea flicker or if you sucked them up enough on a play action post. And even then, I know he has top line speed. I just don't think that Alabama's defense is going to fall for it. I think they're too well coached.
You need Roman Wilson to be Amon-Ra. Find a spot in the middle of the field. Just do it.
Yeah, and that's going to be the hard part about Michigan's offense is I don't see any like explosive touchdowns. If they do get them, then we could be cooking with gas. But maybe Donovan Edwards is the only guy because Corum can't break one. None of the tight ends are going to score a touchdown off of it. Edwards truly is a 5-star talent that if he's used well, he can be a difference maker in this game. But it's going to be a grind, I think, for Michigan to score points. And then that's where it gets scary, like you said, Cody. Bigger question for me is on the other side of the ball, when Alabama has it, does Michigan's defense legit enough to slow them down? Which I think they can be. I'm not going to feel comfortable about it until I see it.
I mean, our defense line is sweet still. Like, I think
that's
we'll
helpful.
have the pressure. I just am so terrified. Barrett has to have the game of his life. That's the way I see it, because we're going to create pressure, but Milroe will run all over us if we don't have a linebacker that can key on him. So Barrett has to have the game of his life.
Or a nickelback. This could be a center still game where you just make good tackles.
Yep.
Colson even. I mean, Colson's more of a true inside linebacker, but whoever is faster, whoever can cover more ground, makes me feel a little bit better that I do respect Jermaine Burton, their receiver, and the one guy Bond, Isaiah Bonds, come on strong, had the catch against Auburn. They are really good receivers, so we'll not take it for granted. But at least makes me feel better that I know the secondary has seen a better wide receiver talent in Harrison Jr. So they shouldn't be overwhelmed per se, maybe by a little bit of speed and whatnot, but the actual matchup shouldn't scare them in the secondary. And like you said, the defensive line, that's a big, a lot of these games just come down to the trenches. So we'll just see, we'll know early if they can get how they're looking in the lines. Are we going to get the Alabama offensive line against Georgia? Or are we going to get the Alabama offensive line that's given up like 3 sacks per game the whole year? It's going to be a huge sign in the beginning.
So I have a question. This is for both of you guys. What does the score have to be at halftime for Michigan to have a chance? No, I'm saying like point difference. Like do we have to be winning at half, or do we have to be losing by a maximum of 10? Because if we're at like 13-14 at half, I'm starting to drink all the Busch Light that I have.
Not to be like the know-it-all response guy, but are we getting the ball at half?
Sure.
Like out of half.
Yeah, we get ball at half.
I would say 14 is the max. 10 is what I would feel better about. Down that much. That much.
Mine's 10. And I have to know if we're down by 10 and we've looked like garbage. But if we have looked like the Detroit Lions and we're down by 10 and we're like only getting bad breaks, yeah, I think we can come back.
That's one thing, though. I don't think we can afford bad breaks.
Just depends on how the game goes. Because I think Milrow could just cough up the ball.
My like, I was gonna say, yeah. Whoa, is that
Still across the middle?
Just closing my eyes, seeing Milrow throwing at least 2 interceptions in this game is like how I'm picturing a path to victory, and then one of them's a pick six. Like I'm not trying to say like Michigan is the inferior team, but I think like the thing they need is some help and some mistakes, because it is crazy as I think about the bigger picture. Michigan is the more seasoned team in this moment. It might end up being too bright for them again, but it shouldn't be on paper. They've been here multiple years in a row. This is the first for most of these Alabama players. It'll be the first time in the spotlight on the playoff stage. Their coach is going to have them more than ready for it. There's no doubt about that. But much like JJ made embarrassing blunders last year, can Milrow give us those this year? And if we make that, if JJ throws a pick six, then it's just like, pass me the Busch Light, like you said, Cody. Because then it's like, all right, it's just going to be rinse and repeat.
If it's interceptions by JJ that is the downfall for our team, I'm skipping the Busch Light and going to bourbon immediately.
I honestly think you guys want a lead at halftime, to be honest. Obviously, best case scenario, you guys are up 14, but I think you guys need to dictate the tempo and the speed of the game the entire time. I feel like the careless and like the oh shit play kind of happened in TCU just because of how many possessions there were in that game. TCU runs fast. You guys are trying to catch up, so you guys aren't really running the ball that well or at much at all. But now, like, you theoretically on paper have the better run game, so you guys can dictate the tempo where it's a Big Ten buffet, and the first half might be ugly, but it's right where Michigan needs it to be, and not like an up the field, down the field track meet for Milrow's liking, where he can kind of do whatever he wants. You need the game in between. You guys need the game played in between the hashes, and Alabama wants everything sideline to sideline.
That's a great way to say it. Yeah, we're like, just condense it.
Yes,
you're faster than us. The one thing I was thinking of too, what was it? What was I going to say? I thought it was a good point off of that. I think I lost it.
I think it's got to be low scoring. I think it's got to be like a 27-21, 27-24 game.
Alabama's last 6 games have gone over.
So I still think our defense is solid. Like, but it's going to be if we play the game how we want to on
cover
offense.
The spread in its last 6 bowl games.
That is a good point that I had written down. Pretty much everything except for Jim Harbaugh's bowl prep that pertains to the history of this program, I'm throwing out the window, because this team, I think, is different than any team I've seen for Michigan. Just the leadership of the players surpasses anything I've seen. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt in every case, except for, and I have my own gripes with bowl games and how much they matter, but it is a fair storyline of Jim Harbaugh's awful record in them. I have seen, maybe it's just going to be a PR buzz, maybe it's just the blue wall buzz, but I have been encouraged to see there's been multiple statements by both players and media members that they made, I don't know about significant, but they made tweaks to their bowl prep this year, the way they structured everything. They gave more time off to the players right away, whereas you had Junior Colson saying last year that he wasn't in like great shape, and he thought just because they went too hard and too physical in the practices leading up to the TCU game, and allegedly they've lessened the load and everyone says they feel good. Again, could all just be coach speak, player speak, and maybe we'll be duped again. But I at least like that we're hearing reports that they've tried changing things, because something has been off with the way Harbaugh has approached bowl games. I mean, his teams were too talented, and some of them were fluky. Yes, like the Florida State comeback was insane, and they've looked good in some games, but too good of a program to keep having that bad of a bowl record. So it is a real thing. And you know Saban's coming correct. He's got that thing figured out. It's not like his team's going to be like, oh, we weren't fresh. We weren't ready for the bowl game.
They know how to peak at the right time after being off for so long.
And I think part of that, Cody, is to your point about all the tricky stuff. I think sometimes, I think JJ had said in a quote that he thought last year they overanalyzed and they kind of like became not themselves. They thought too much about what the specific matchups were, where it's like what Evan was saying is that you are established yourself of how you want to play football and you need to kind of stay on those tracks until you are butted off of it, while at least relying that if you do have to deviate and get punched in the mouth, you're talented enough and composed enough to come up with a game plan that can at least keep you in the ball game. So hopefully that's more of an approach we see. I don't need them to overthink the wheel. I need them to see it, just go head to head with Alabama and see what you can do. Still have your gadget plays that you think are good in spots. It really is going to be a test to me of Sharon Moore. If he's able to get this offense to look competent and have a good game, like we come out of this game saying, wow, Michigan's offense played well, that will cement him to easily be the next head coach of this program in my mind, because this is the toughest test that I think he will face in his entire, potentially life as an offensive coordinator at Michigan, going up against a Nick Saban defense with a month prep in the Rose Bowl as a playoff game. I mean, it doesn't get more just like what's your plan versus what's his plan. And obviously the players have to make the plays, but you're going to know early on if he can adjust to it and he can handle it.
Mm-hmm.
Question
excited.
for you guys. Would this be, I didn't know the right phrase. Would this be the best win ever? Most impressive win ever in modern Michigan football history?
No.
Are we thinking of the same one? I think we might be thinking of the only one that can compete with it.
Yeah. This year, Ohio State.
This year? I was going to go at Ohio State last year.
I think it's this year. There's so much on the line for that game. There's so much on the line.
Like that's true. The outside narratives. That's
the
true.
Outside narratives. The collapse of the Pac-12 coming into the Big Ten is the last time that game will be the game, because they both can make the playoff after that game now.
Yeah. So maybe not to try to get you to come into my answer here, but saying most satisfying win was that. Would this be more impressive of a win considering the opponent?
Yeah, so the Ohio State at Ohio State was the most impressive for me.
Okay.
Because of the breakouts and yeah.
Just because going into Ohio State, I predicted them on the show to win, but deep down in my gut, I thought for sure they were losing to CJ Stroud at the Horseshoe. For sure did, because of how talented that team was.
That was probably
this would definitely be. This would be the most impressive that I've seen, because I still call it the Georgia effect, what they did to us. Maybe I was naive because my team hadn't faced them. Evan, you would have known more than us because you've faced Alabama in the playoff. I didn't view the gap between the SEC and the Big Ten that widely until I watched Georgia just manhandle us on a football field. And I was like, oh, this is a different league. So the stakes are so high because if they're able to compete, and I think they can beat them, and they do beat them, then it squashes that narrative. But I'm telling you this, if Alabama just tosses us around, and maybe it's not as big of a score as it was Georgia, but maybe it's still embarrassing. Like maybe it's 17, 21 points, and it doesn't really feel close. I'm going to be pretty dejected about thinking that Michigan can never win a title, like in the modern way the SEC is set up, because I'm just never going to think we have the hosses to do it.
Yeah.
Like this is it.
An SEC game in a CFP game, playing an SEC school, if we beat them, I mean, that would be the most satisfying. I'll give you that. That'd be my most satisfying game.
It just doesn't happen.
Like, holy crap, we're going to the national title to play Texas.
Yeah, I would like that.
And you get the two biggest fan bases in the country playing each other for the national title game.
In Houston.
Wild.
In their backyard.
In their backyard. And
it's a 3-hour drive or so, I think. I don't know. I do. I have those nightmares of the Georgia game. I'm trying to convince myself that everything's good. I'm going to go in. You can know when that stealth bomber flies over my head, I'm going to have goosebumps thinking, holy shit, we're about to win the Rose Bowl. We're about to win. We might score 75 yards on the first play. But if it's post game and they tallywhack us, I'm going to be like, yeah, we're never winning the title. I will have that thought that Big Cat has said about Wisconsin football. Like they'll never win a title. I will have that thought in my head that it just will never happen. If they can't at least like go to the fourth quarter with this team.
Mm-hmm.
It's how I should phrase it. If they can get into the fourth quarter, we're 8 minutes left, it's a sweat. All right, we could win a title. I knew last year if they beat TCU, they're still getting stomped by Georgia. I'm not stupid. I know they weren't going to. Maybe it would be closer. It'd be closer than TCU, which isn't saying much. But this is a big implications.
This is the best chances we've had.
Easily. Ever. Just because of quarterback play.
Mm-hmm. Quarterback play alone. Defense, we've always had a solid defense. Yeah, they've gotten taken advantage of when you get put in front of an SEC school, but this year's SEC schools aren't previous year SEC schools. I think we're more evenly matched with anybody in the country right now.
That's a good point, too, because I've been trying to listen to more of the SEC perspective, and they've all said, while this Alabama is an awesome coaching job, it's not like the dominant Saban teams. There's still obviously flaws, as we've seen. They actually lost to Texas. They were a Hail Mary from losing to Auburn. If it's the windows now.
Yeah.
And if it's not now, it's never, Evan. We're doomed to eternal blue balls if it's not now.
Yep. I think this would probably be for Michigan. This would be the most, I don't want to say it, not satisfying. I would say impressive win, just because everything it has. Like we just talked about, SEC bowl game, and it kind of gets that monkey off the back. You've already gotten the monkey off your back with Ohio State. It's over. Okay, you've done it 3 years in a row now. Now it's national championship, playoff win. All that stuff that Harbaugh and the Michigan program doesn't have. So I think it would be the most impressive. Especially, it's not like you're facing TCU. You're not playing Florida State. You're not playing Oregon or Washington. You're playing, like we talked about earlier, the dynasty of college football of our childhood, of us growing up.
Mm-hmm.
You're playing the kings of college football. I think it'd be the most impressive. Just if you take them out. Even, no matter, regardless of where they're at, standing point of their team, how good, how bad, who's on their team. Nick Saban's still coaching them. They still have the Alabama logo. They're still going to wear crimson and white.
It's time for our Clemson dynasty.
Well, if we win it, Harbaugh goes to the NFL, and then we fall flat. But we have that moment, Cody. We have that moment.
Give me that Clemson win over Bama now.
All right. I think we should do predictions. I think we should predict it and then get to our New Year's resolutions. Evan, would you like to start?
Just this game or all of the playoffs?
Are we doing Lions and Michigan?
Let's do just the college football playoff.
Okay.
So do Washington, Texas first. We did get deep in the weeds there that I didn't even really consider the other game. But yeah, any thoughts on Washington, Texas, and your prediction?
I think both of the games are see the flash and the big playmakers, but I think it's going to come down to the big sexies up front. Washington manhandled Oregon. Texas has manhandled a couple of their opponents. And Texas' defensive line is extremely underrated. I know they have NFL prospects there. I do like Texas in the game. Stark, however you want to say it. It's been there before. So Penix is better than yours, but I think overall Texas has more talent. I do like Texas in a close one. They're a little bit more high scoring, though. I like them 35-29, 30, 35-30. If we can all stay up for it, though.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Cody?
I got Texas 38, Washington 34. Close.
Sounds like a classic. I like Washington. Not to play devil's advocate, not to be the Texas hater. I would love to see you guys have cowboy hats and cowboy boots.
Oh,
but
yeah.
And they probably will lose now because I've been off on them all year, questioning them, saying Oregon was better, telling Alex, hey, they're like TCU last year. They're just surviving. They're surviving. What did TCU do? They won the game somehow in the semis. So I think Washington's passing attack will give Texas a lot of fits. I think it'll be an awesome, awesome track meet of a game. I'll go 41-38, which would go well over the over-under. 79 points would be awesome. So good. So hopefully we get a game like that. Now to the Rose Bowl. Evan, you start us here.
I think you guys brought up a lot of good points, but I think it just comes down to experience in one area only, and I see that on the sideline. Milrow hasn't really done anything to convince me otherwise in big games besides take over games with his legs. But I think it's going to be very close. I think it's going to come down to last possession either way, but I do like Alabama just because of Milrow's running ability. I would say 24-21 Alabama.
I'm just getting nervous thinking about that. Last possession either way.
Makes me.
No.
Yeah. My little butt fucker right now. Never hurt nobody.
Cody?
I have the score 28-27.
Oh.
Michigan still does not cover the spread, but they still win by 1.
But they win by 1. I like it. Get your bets in now before the line moves. I guess if it goes the other way, then you're fine. This is what I like. I went a little more specific too, because I've been just, like I said, I've been having some dreams. Not actual dreams, but just daydreams of thinking how this game's going to play out. I see this as a Michigan win, 24-17. And I like Edwards to score a touchdown, a passing touchdown, a receiving touchdown from J.J. McCarthy. Donovan Edwards catches a touchdown. Mike Sanders still, you already know, the pick six is happening. I see it. It's his moment. He's going to cement himself. Whatever I said the other week, that he was a top 10 Michigan defensive player, cements it.
As a Michigan legend.
Legend. And then I was thinking about Colston Loveland as the third, but it'd be too not right to not say that Corum gets a goal line touchdown. So Corum will have one, and then we get a field goal from Turner. Is that the O for Orgy? Are you throwing up the O for Orgy?
Teaser.
Oh, that would be something. I guess we should say, we said it last week with Alex, JJ and Orgy, if they play him, they have to run the ball. Our quarterback, I was looking through JJ's game logs. He hasn't eclipsed like 50 yards much in our games, like running. We're going to need that. We're going to need him if he's going to get hurt, if he's going to be banged up for the title game, get banged up for the title game, because it's all hands on deck. And we saw Peyton Thorne, the run against Georgia. He also carved up Alabama on the ground. So we're going to need that. But yeah, 3 touchdowns, a field goal, 24-17 is how I hope and pray it to be. So it's going to be an absolute sweat. And we'll see what happens. You might get really depressed, Grant. You might get like sad, but hats off to Alabama, hats off to the Michigan team, Grant, if it's like really close. Or you might get ecstatic Grant that wow, they actually won.
Comes
or
in here
stunned,
with blueberry vodka.
Or stunned Grant.
Blue Gatorade.
If they win by like 14 points, stunned. Like I'd be happy, but I'd still be stunned. I'd be like thinking, how did that happen? Or you'll get depressed if it's the other way around. All right, to wrap up, spend 5-10 minutes on this. Your resolutions for the year, a classic segment that we like to do. I usually forget mine after we do these, and I don't remember what I did the year before. I know in the past I've said like to enjoy every moment. That's the one I always think back to when it comes to sports. Like savor even little wins.
I remember mine from last year, Grant.
You do?
Yeah, I didn't. I failed one of them. I think I succeeded the other one.
I should go listen. What were they?
Mine was I was going to read more, like educational for my job and coaching. Clearly did not happen. I got off to a hot start, I think January, February, March last year. Got off to a hot start. I went downhill after that. And then I said I was going to watch more sports last year. And I'm definitely, I don't know if I watched more than the previous year, but it felt like I did.
Hell yeah.
So 50%, I'll take it.
All right, we'll snake it back the way we did it from the predictions. I'll start, then Cody, then you, Evan. We'll do sports first. No, let's do personal first. This is a sports podcast. We'll do sports or personal first. Personal, I started this a little bit last week to try to grease the wheel. I want to create more time in my evenings. I'd like to start going to the gym in the morning before work. We're talking a 5:30 wake up, get to the gym, 5:45, 6. We'll see how it goes. I did it 3 times in 1 week. it's got to be disciplined about going to bed. I'm going to become a 10 p.m. bed guy, which there's nothing wrong with that. I just have to do that because I'm not one of those people that can like skate by on 6 hours multiple days in a row. I will crash. I have to have 7.5 hours around there. So, Evan, I know you get up super early. Cody, I'm not sure I know you've always gotten up decently early. Is there any tips, any tricks of just grinding through those early morning hours?
I go to bed at I'm at least laying in bed by 9:30, 10 o'clock.
All right.
Sometimes I'll tinker on my phone.
There's a lot of mornings. There were a lot of evenings I do the same way. I'm in bed early, and I feel bad. I was like, God, everybody else is still awake. But I was like, I don't care. They just go to bed. You're not doing anything. Just go lay down. Go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest trick is I just get pissed at myself every morning. Like that alarm goes off, I have to like snap out of bed like so fast that you almost get like lightheaded. Just get up and go. Because you lay around, you just get like all mopey and even more tired. Like get up, get in the shower, start your day.
Yeah. I have to keep my phone out of the bedroom. That helps me do this whole thing.
You have your own old-fashioned alarm clock.
I've always been kind of a psychopath. I have to have 2 alarms set on like different devices. So I have the old-fashioned on my dresser. So that gets me up. And then I set like the iPhone that's in the living room like 5 minutes after that. So it just kind of like, and it also helps to Cody's point where if I leave it on the table, I get ready for bed. I know I'm not looking at it before I go to bed because that's how I get trapped too. You know, you sit there, you look at the blue light in your face, You're like scrolling through Twitter. Don't need to be. If I just leave it out there, I can get in bed, I can fall asleep, and then it gets a reason to get up.
Do you watch TV in bed at all, ever?
Only if there's like a late night football game, but I'm pretty good about only doing that in the living room.
So I've started
other shows.
I watch shows in my bed, and I've started putting a timer on immediately. As soon as I get in bed, I put like an hour and a half timer, so that way I can go to sleep, and then I know my TV's turning off in an hour and a half. And
nice.
I like falling asleep to sound, anyways. So that's kind of how I do it. So,
tips and tricks, people write them down.
So I'm my turn.
Mm-hmm.
So my personal is going to be very professional. This year I accomplished my master's degree, and I've taken the last about 2 months off of furthering my education. But this next year I'm committing to getting my licenses and my designations that I want, and possibly going back for another master's later in the year.
Oh,
so
let's go!
This is like Cody.
Yeah, so this year is going to be a big professional year for me.
Passing tests.
Correct. Studying, passing tests. Never been a test person. But yeah, so studying is going to have to be a real thing because I've never been a study person. That's why I'm not a test person.
Right. All right, I like it. Evan?
My personal, as this list keeps on growing every month, every week, every day, I'm trying to commit to myself to eliminate or get 75 to 85% of my must-watch list checked off or finished.
Oh, wow.
I'm not going to go the full 100% because I think it's unattainable and I would give up. So I'm going to say like a solid C average, like 75% to 85%, just start cutting them out.
So you're watching less sports this year. You have
I might be watching less sports. Or my spring and summertime, cram. Like a lot of them are movies, and I just like hate myself. Like, but I have like 2.5, 3 hours here and there that like, hey, you can get one of these movies out of the way. Like, do it.
The minute football season ends, Super Bowl done, you just have to watch Michigan State basketball. Any night, not Michigan State basketball, it's pretty much not going to
do it.
But the Red Wings are on now.
Correct. I am so addicted. I love college basketball so much that every weeknight there's college basketball on. I always watch whatever the best game is that night. I just enjoy basketball. It's like college football. You enjoy the best college football games. College basketball.
Yeah.
But yes, Grant, I will be watching less sports this year. Sad.
Whew. But the list, that'll be big. Alex will love to hear that. If it happens.
Wings are type 1-1
if it happens.
Sports one for me. This is something that I've never thought I could do. I've done it a little bit, but I need to get better at it, get a routine for it. Long story short, it is becoming a watch the game on recording guy. Not for everything, not for like the big games, because that's too hard to do, but maybe it's a Lions against a weaker opponent. Maybe it's a Butler basketball game one night that just gets recorded, and then I watch it either when I get up early in the morning or I watch it right when I get home from work before Marissa gets home, because there's about like a 2-hour gap there. Sometimes where like it gets harder, you get a roommate, you're doing more things on the weekends. It's like I want to live. I don't want to be strapped to like watching the whole thing, but I do like to see those moments. So the hardest part is like blocking out, knowing what the score is if you're going to be watching it, that day. But we'll see. I don't sound super confident, and I know that, but I can do it. I've done it to some games. I might just have to get over the fact of, hey, I know what the score is, but at least I want to see how it happened. So, and you can watch them on like 1.25 speed with YouTube, maybe 1.5 speed, skip through commercials. It's a more efficient way to watch sports sometimes. But the big games, that's a live viewing because I love the chats. I love seeing what's going on. So, long story short.
Do you rewatch any of your Prem games or anything?
I do YouTube highlights for those.
So those YouTube like CBS highlights or whatever they're called, the like 10-minute version, I watch all the different teams in the league. And, like
see what's going on.
Like Sunday mornings when like there's not a game that I really want to watch. Like
yeah,
the mornings on the weekends when you don't want to watch NFL spot like Fox Sports or Fox NFL Countdown or whatever. So I don't like doing that anymore. But I watch
smart. I like that. I could do less preview shows.
Yep.
More recaps of games.
Yep.
Cody, your sports one?
So my sports one's going to be it's kind of like a reverse resolution.
Okay.
It's been 2 years since I've done this, and for no reason other than I was just a degenerate. I'm coming back to the sports betting world. That
was the teaser.
That's my New Year's resolution is I'm going to start using units like Grant, starting off with $5 units and only betting $5 units.
Welcome.
And I'm not going to go back to the blackjack tables.
It's missed you.
like Evan has newly found again.
Whoa.
The blackjack tables were the reason that I stopped because I was way too impatient to keep betting on games and watching till the end to see if it came to fruition. So I'm not going to be doing blackjack, but I'm only going to be doing sports betting. So I'm coming back. That's my New Year's resolution.
I like it. I like the units. That's the responsible way to do it. Still stay leery of parlays. Maybe like a 2-legger if you feel good about something, but parlays are donations to casinos. Unless you hit one. Those are fun. But more often than not, they're donations to casinos. That one that was going viral about that guy betting 5 to win 500,000, I feel like that was fake.
That just didn't feel real. Of like the running backs. Yeah.
Yeah, that's sick if it really happened. But that's like once in 40 years. So I like it. Welcome back, as Evan said.
Thank you.
They need to make like the blackjack button farther away from the sportsbook button, or maybe like do a parental setting where you can't touch it or something. I don't know. They need to like make it harder to access. Evan, your sports one.
My sports one. I thought about this all day today a little bit, and so I'm going to try to say I want to attend more sporting events, but not like my typical sporting events. I want to broaden my live sporting events that I've gone to and try different sports, I should say. Dabble my toes in something else. Like, we have a lot of great venues around us, and sports in our area that I don't think a lot of people go to. And I think as a sports fan and a person that talks sports once a week, I think it would be all right or interesting to go watch. Like, we go and ruin our lives every weekend, every summer, at a NASCAR venue, at the MIS, but I've never watched a car do a single lap around that track. Maybe try that. Go to more hockey events. I know I've been to Michigan State and the Red Wings, but there's other great hockey in the area. I would also like to see more college wrestling. I've been to a college wrestling meet with Cody. Sold out. It was absolutely unbelievable to watch. Super fun to watch. I think live sports are great to watch, and I think I just need to go see more of them.
Big Ten championship
I like
last year
that.
was so cool to go to. Even though you don't have if you want to watch a cool venue, go watch Michigan. You don't have to be a Michigan fan. Go watch Michigan wrestle Ohio State at Michigan.
Yeah,
It's
like
one
just
of the
good, a
coolest
good
things.
sporting event. Like there's nothing wrong with just going and watch. You don't have a cheering interest, but I think I'm so stuck up on diehard green and
Be your
white.
teams.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's okay. Go watch something else.
Let's go to an Adrian College hockey game.
See, I'm down.
That's a lot of fun. We can go sit
Like the
and have a beer
walleye
up
or
top
local.
and
Like,
watch.
why not?
March Madness in Detroit this year.
In Detroit,
That
I
could be
was
one.
screaming at like Michigan State's now not going to make it. We suck. Michigan State's not going to be hosted in there. I was like, hey, go watch a good basketball game. Like Dayton's not even that far of a drive, and we've never been to a first four game.
Yeah,
dude, watching college volleyball is crazy too. Like I'd do that. I just watched the
That does look
Texas
intense.
versus what was it, Nebraska
That
in the national title game.
Yeah,
I watched that. It was a letdown because Nebraska lost, but yeah.
You have a layup too, Evan. NFL draft coming to Detroit as well.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. It's an event.
it's an
a big
event. It's definitely a sporting event in April. Yes.
I'll be there.
Well, like Cody and I've also been to like a golf event in Detroit, the Rocket Mortgage. That was probably 3-4 years ago now.
Mm-hmm. I went last
But
year too.
LPGA puts on a great event down in Toledo. So there's like a lot of sporting events around us. I think you just need to broaden my.
Grand Rapids Griffins.
Yeah.
I like that you went the local route too, because it can be overwhelming. Like after I came back from the Iron Bowl, I was like, oh, we got to do a boys trip to an SEC game every year. That's setting the bar pretty high. I like that you've gone local, ease yourself in.
There's easier stuff around us that like we just take advantage of, or we just like, oh, whatever. But there's stuff right in front of us that we could do.
Next year, I'm going to Soldier Field or Green Bay. I'm going to try and make it to one Lions game away, because that was just a different experience, and it wasn't that bad of a trip. Like money wise, like you can go to Soldier Field or Green Bay or like Cleveland.
Yeah, Cleveland. Would be cool.
We'll be playing Cleveland next year.
There's a chance. I think we play the AFC North. We did play though. Or did we just play Steelers? Not getting off topic. Oh well.
Yeah, there's a lot of good games.
I like it. Good resolutions. If anyone's listening and wants to share theirs with us to be an accountability partner, feel free. We'll see it. We'll hold you accountable. Sorry, Dr. Ken on Twitter. We're going to get to your question next week or the week after. We're not talking about the Pistons tonight. I think we made it a good 2 hours here, so we'll wrap things up. YouTube, Spotify, Apple, anywhere you can find us. Subscribe, rate and review, all that good stuff. Twitter at ShotOfMS. Interact there. Submit your questions. If you've made it this far, hype video status update. Got a good chunk of it done. And I told someone.
Two numbers.
I know Cody asked. I think I said to someone irresponsibly that I wasn't going to do it unless they made the title game. And then like last week, I had a little bit of time to myself, and I was like, I mean, Alabama at the Rose Bowl. I found a song I liked, and I was like, I have to do it. I just have to do it.
That's half the battle. Finding the right song is half the battle. It's literally half the battle. The rest of it's kind of easy.
It was a grind, and I made like a pivot. It's not really spoilers, but I found a cool like Run This Town remix with Rihanna, and I thought I was dead set on that. And then I remembered I had seen like a TikTok of that one that was really popular like last year, the Superheroes and Villains by Metro Boomin. They use that it was famous in that show, like The Boys, like the villains giving that speech about like, you need me, and it's like the in the background of like it's whatever, heroes and villains, whatever. So I found that, and I was like, TikTok, I could do this song. So I have about the first like 35-40 minutes are set, and then I gotta do I'm probably gonna make a minute and a half or 2 minutes. I gotta do the end. But we'll say that ETA, I wanted to get it out like either today or Thursday. It's not gonna happen. It's gonna happen Friday. I have some time to edit Friday, so I think I should be able to get it out Saturday. Still gives us 2 days into the game. Might see a little bit of dip in numbers because it's on the weekend, but we'll send it to the right accounts, try to get it retweeted and see where it goes. It's crazy. I joke that it's like giving like raw meat to a pack of wolves or whatever, because I posted like a 4-second teaser of it. It got like 300 likes. Like people were just like frothing at the mouth.
Your Aiden Hutchinson tweet, freaking last time I checked, was at like 570. I was like, this
the Blue Wall, Detroit Lions intersection.
I put my phone on airplane mode the other night because it would not stop ringing. I was like, what? Well, okay. I was like, first of all, what a great tweet. And then I saw Aiden Hutchinson. I was like, oh, great. Here we go.
So I did back myself into a corner with the hype video. I actually have to make it now because I promised the people. So it'll be done. It just won't be done like tomorrow. It'll be done Saturday probably. Yeah. All right. So everyone enjoy their new year. Everyone be safe as well.
See you next year.
Thanks for having me on.
If you need it. Thank you, Cody. Thank you. We can't all be in St. Lucia.
We all can't be in St. Lucia.
Kid.
Some of us
I hope it's raining.
I cannot wait to hear some of his recaps.
We might have two. We might have 2 episodes drop that week. One is just a whole like Alex recap, and the other one's actually what we are supposed to talk about.
Yeah,
show us your thirst traps.
Chronicles.
Or he's just gonna come back and be like, "Yeah, it was all right. It was pretty fun." Yeah, that was about it.
Hey, I'm back at work. Went to St. Lucia. It was all right. Good food. All right. Cheers to 147.
Cheers.